right, so traditional research, design and methodology and the science of research is absolutely critically important. I believe it's sacrosanct to finding the right answer. Data quality is critical. We believe in data quality. We believe in the importance of it. And then there's this whole new creative layer in terms of finding the consumer, connecting with the consumer's needs and values. And so I really believe that the role of and the future of traditional research is combining the science with the art of these new solutions. And the new solutions, they include big data, but they're creative solutions to applying big data to better decisions.
Well, I think obviously everyone is talking about all the new data science and data and analytics and tools, but it really comes down to original research. Originally, market research was considered the marriage of statistics and analytics with psychology and sociology. I think we're getting back to that. I think people are realizing you can't have one without the other. You need, you can observe quantitative phenomena, but unless you can explain what the human behavior is behind those phenomena, you really can't do anything to influence them, to take advantage of the opportunity that they present. So to me, it's still that marriage of the social sciences and sophisticated quantification. Our quantification has gotten more and more sophisticated, but it has not, nor will it ever replace the role of the social sciences.
Well, it kind of depends what you mean by traditional research. If by traditional research you mean asking people why they did something, I think we'll always be doing that. You see Carl Marcy doing that. You see NeuroInsight doing it. So we'll always be doing the traditional questions. We may be giving it less weight, but it's important for diagnostics. You know, we can measure the sales effect, but now we want to dig into why did we get that effect? How can we change the effect? We still have to ask why.
Well, hi. I think the future traditional research is a very, very important question to raise, because I think it's very important for so-called traditional researchers to keep up with the changes and familiarize yourself with passive measurements and kind of learn the advantages, but also the problems with analytics and data scientists, because I think the solution is for those groups, traditional researchers and data analysts, to work together, learn from each other, because I think it's a perfect example of 1 and 1 is 3. If you keep them separate, they both have their disadvantages, but if you put this all together, I think that's really how you make a big advancement. So from a career point of view, I think it's very important for so-called traditional researchers to kind of change and be open to change.
So I think at this conference, all we've seen is that people want to get back to the basics. Our purchase-driven planning takes you back to the basics. It says, what's the value of reach? Creative, flighting, targeting. All those are very, very common, standard, core things that you need to do well to have your advertising and media work. So traditional research, we need those skills, but we need to move them into this century. So what you often see is an agency, or in many companies, the media research department has 1 person or 2, and they've slowly dwindled. But the measurement science is growing, and it's unfortunate. They should be the same people. They should be integrated. It's kind of like machine learning and statistics. So you see the avenue of statistics where you need a good sample, you want a statistical reliability, and your t-test tells you, is this answer good? But a t-test is used to small data. So then a parallel path comes along that was developed through big data that's really computer science people building algorithms and ways to look at data. And they often don't have statistics in them. Well, why not? You need the statistics to understand what's the confidence interval. What am I, and the marrying of the statistics with the is critical to be able to use machine learning. And it's critical for media research that we integrate really solid traditional concepts of what's an audience and what's reach and how do you estimate these things with the people that have data, big data, and can use it. So I think there's that very much it's traditional. Traditional is valued and should be more valued. It's valuable and it should be more valued.
What is the future of traditional research? I actually don't believe in the underlying nature of the question, if you can believe that, because I believe that research should be evolving continuously based on the demands and the dynamics that are being observed within the marketplace. So with respect to traditional research, I don't know really know what that means, because I think research, quite frankly, should be evolving on a continuous basis.
So I think the future of traditional research really relies in costs and numbers. The absolute point about traditional research is that when it's done well, it gives a great deal of confidence. So we go from qualitative through the various stages such as ethnographic through to full quant research. And I think those sorts of things allied to statistical tests, even if the ASA is questioning that at the moment, gives a very strong understanding of what's going on. The newer forms of research are still very valuable, but they are, if you like, augmenting this area at the moment because they're not proven. Things like machine learning that Google are promising, and those sorts of areas are, areas that I would say are still supplementary to the real areas of true research. So when the future of traditional research, I think in the short term, 3, 4, 5 years ahead, we're not going to see that much difference at the moment. But I think 10 years from now, where we'll see more forms of ethnographic research coming through that we just wouldn't have realised. The one that immediately comes to mind is eye tracking on laptops will become much more prevalent because we'll get eye tracking on mobile phones and things like that. And so those sorts of supplementary areas will become much more important. And I think by sort of like 2025, that'll be a major area where research will have shifted.
The future of traditional research is the researchers and the rigor that comes with traditional media research and the training that is applied to traditional media research has to somehow begin to meld with analytics and newer practices, because you can't continue to be siloed. That's the future, a nice merge where everyone contributes to each other's. And I know it sounds like kumbaya, but it's kind of an inevitable thing in the age of endless quantities of data, decisions that need to be made better, faster, and more powerfully. So if you have tons of data, but no one understands if it's good or not, you can't make good decisions. It's the same as in the old days where the people looked at a focus group and said, oh, look what that person said, and thought that was the decision-making criteria. And it never was, because there are other techniques that were deployed even in the old days. So now there's data, there's rigor, there's understanding how advertising, media, and marketing work, there's understanding what data can do to change the world, and there's putting them together in a reasonable way that provides quick response with rigor, with instant, ongoing, continuous intel.
I can't answer that question because it uses what I think is a very pejorative phrase, traditional, because what was traditional is becoming and evolving into today. So I'm giving a non-answer. Everything is becoming one, and it's getting better than ever. No traditional, new and improved.